Hey everyone, it's Dhani. Thanks for listening to Watching My Stories. This week we are releasing this little mini episode in the middle of the week. This is a leftover segment from a session we had recorded probably a month ago. We had decided to include a topic talking about our favorite movies of all time, favorite TV shows of all time, and the entire session ended up going like an hour and a half. So we cut this part out. So it kind of starts with a random bang and it gets cut off really quickly. But this week I thought, let's just go ahead and release this little 20-minute segment so that way we can get it out there. Because to me, if you know a person's favorite movie and TV show, it really does help you to understand the person a little bit more. And for those of you that are hoping to come on the podcast, and we're hoping to get you all on here, that's going to be the first question I ask you, is what's your favorite TV show and movie? And that also just kind of, it leads to conversation. So be prepared for that. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. This was very early on. So again, the quality is not great. It's very difficult to hear John. So you're going to have to probably turn him up a little bit more. He goes first and talks about his TV shows and movies. And then I give mine and that's it. So enjoy this little nugget in the middle of the week. And we will release a full episode again on Sunday. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good one.
Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Every week we also want to do some sort of topic where I can pull John in and talk about things. This is another one of those opportunities where maybe we're going to have listeners jump in at some point and be able to really expand on these topics. So last week it was about canceled TV shows that we loved.
Yep.
This week I just want to kind of touch on our favorite movies and favorite TV shows. So I'm going to let John go first.
Okay, so I'm going to start with TV shows. I tend to do better when I don't have time to prepare or time to think about stuff. You know, I'm more spur of the moment or you know, improvisational when it comes to this sort of thing. So I tried not to think about it, and then as we're talking about it, start thinking about it. And what I keep coming back to is The West Wing. I mean, that's probably always going to be my favorite show. All around, it's a top of every category for me. The writing, the direction, the acting. And you can't beat, for drama, right? You can't beat present day or simulated present day world, I guess, turmoil or political drama. For me, if you're going to have drama, politics is kind of the epitome of that. And all those people are either were already or became just about my favorite actors.
Yeah.
You know, Martin Sheen is who he is. I don't have to say anything about him. and Allison Janney is always one of my favorites. But, you know, Bradley Whitford and Rob Lowe are two actors who I don't think get the credit for their comedic timing or, you know, their situational acting as they should, I think. And maybe they do, and I'm not aware of it. But, you know, when you know, I think they're both underrated as far as their ability to deliver a good, clean, funny line very straight. So that's probably my favorite show. 1A or number 2 on the list. I won't go into it. I've been thinking about this a lot too, and it's very subtle but full of very powerful performances. Is probably Downton Abbey. That's probably my number 2. Yeah, I know, it's kind of funny because you know, that's fairly recent or whatever, but you know, again, the for a drama, British, you know, the relationships between higher ups and commoners is
Upstairs, downstairs.
Yeah, the upstairs downstairs thing. It's very, boy, it's chock full of very subtle drama.
Right.
You know, it's not the in your face stuff that we see in a lot of, you know, American shows or a lot of current stuff. It's the very subdued and almost the stuff you could easily miss.
Right.
To me, is where the real drama is. You know,
right.
The quick look or the glance or the, you know, the pursed lips or something when somebody's given, something. It's really, really good stuff. So that's it for TV shows. Do you want me to talk about my movies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so movie number one. Well, okay. Movie number one is relatively easy for me, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about a couple others too. So I'm going to rattle off 3 or 4. But movie number one for me, for a lot of reasons, is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Came out in 1977. I was 9 years old when it came out. I actually didn't see it until later in life. I didn't get to go to it in the theater. I got to see Star Wars, which came out the same year, but I didn't get to see Close Encounters until later. But when I did see it, that time in my life, the 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old me was still very fresh in my memory. So there's just something about that movie that keys that time frame, and it's very nostalgic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a storyline or a topic that I'm pretty interested in. As we talked about last week in the Ancient Aliens show that I watch. I find the thought of extraterrestrial life, which is almost a certainty, you have to believe. I just find that really fascinating and interesting to think about. And Spielberg dealt with it in such a, such a good I don't know the right term. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it was believable, right? It wasn't completely fanciful, like, oh my God, aliens came, and it wasn't like Independence Day or something like that, where it was very low key, I guess, and kept it very personal to Richard Dreyfuss and the other people who had the actual experiences. So I found it very intriguing about, instead of this big spaceship that lands or comes down and descends over the White House or that sort of thing, and it's a big national thing, it's very localized and very personal to that person, so much to the point that nobody else but these people believe it actually happened. So it's that interesting dynamic between the people who went through it and the other people in their lives, or the scientists who haven't experienced it but want to believe it or are trying to believe it. It's just, to me, it will always be the movie that I go back to, right? You know this. Whenever I take a nap on a Sunday afternoon, or if it's on TV, I have to at least turn to it and have it on in the background. But if I lay down and take a nap, I put it on, or whatever. It's just one of those things. Yeah. Now, the other movies I want to talk about, or I just want to mention as in my top
honorary mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions. Are the Shawshank Redemption, which it will always. Again, that's another one of those. If it's on, even on commercial TV, I'll watch it. Right. Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, the '84 Ghostbusters, with, the original guys.
But he watches the new one just as much.
Oh yeah, I have to say that I really enjoy the new one. I didn't have the problem that a lot of people had, or whatever problems they had with this new one. I did not have. I thought it was fantastic. Yes. And if that one's on, I'll watch it too. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then of course the obligatory Goodfellas. That's the other one that I kind of go back to. So those are my honorable mention movies. Some of them very guy-like. Some of them, for nostalgic reasons, but whatever. I also want to say for television shows, I would be remiss if I didn't throw The Sopranos in there. That jogged my memory from saying Goodfellas. The Sopranos was one that I would actually make time for on Sunday evenings to catch when it was on. Right. Yeah, that was a good one. Good. So that's me.
That's good.
That's John's take on TV and movies.
Okay. So this is really difficult for me, obviously. I don't necessarily... So the answers I'm going to give are this, if I were just in passing with someone, they said, hey, what's your favorite TV show? I would say this, but it in no way it's true, but I have so many that there's no real way. And I also have to separate it into sitcom and drama because there's no way to choose between the two. So I mentioned last week, Friends is the number one. It just is. So for 23 years, I have watched this show and I continue to watch it every day. I put it on at night when I'm sleeping. I would challenge anyone to a trivia game. No one will play with me when I want to do any sort of friends games.
That's a losing battle.
I would love to be able to get in good with someone and have a real trivia game on Friends, because it's, so there's that. Then, for drama, the answer I always come up with.
So I'm kind of doing this because
he's like flinching.
So I'm trying to do, so I have it in my head what I think it's going to be. It's just interesting to see how well I know you. So I'll let you know if I was right.
The drama is Lost.
Yep.
Okay.
I knew it.
And there's a reason. There's been a million since Lost. So Lost came out in 2004.
2004.
I know, right?
My God.
I know. So, but at the time, there was nothing like it. You know, today I can say Fringe, I can say Orphan Black, I can say even there were Damages was a fantastic show. Mad Men, Breaking Bad. You know, there have been so many fantastic, wonderful shows since Lost started. But at the time in 2004 when Lost came on, for me, it was... Well, West Wing was even before that, which was fantastic. But to be honest, I didn't watch West Wing when it was on. Mm-hmm. So I was a latecomer on that. But Lost was just something different. It was something that, you know, and I'm even going to go back even further. Twin Peaks was an amazing experience when it first came on. But again, that only lasted for 2 seasons. But I remember when Twin Peaks was on, my sister and I like pulling out a magazine, a huge thing that you could pull out, and it was like the size of a table of all of the relationships between the people and us trying to still figure out who killed Laura Palmer. That's kind of the event I felt with Lost, but I felt it for 6 seasons, and I felt it every week because the characters were just so well drawn. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah. It was all about the people, and it was all about I didn't care that they were on an island and whatever. It was about, but how are they going to interact today? Are Sun and Jin going to get back together? Are they going to find each other? And then the time jumping. And so on top of just these characters, there also was then this experience of this island and what was happening and the science of it, which it was so smart. And it felt like it wasn't just about good dialogue, you know, like West Wing or something else before it. It was about real science and learning things, but then, you know, in this kind of fantasy of this place. So anyway, so that's why I come to Lost as my favorite. It's almost like when I think of favorite musicals, it'll always be Rent, even though there are others that have, you know, kind of taken its place since then. So I will always say Rent is my favorite musical, even though today possibly others I might love a little bit more. But again, in that year of 96 when Rent came out, there had been nothing like it. And it opened my eyes to a completely different style of musical. So I'm not going to get sidetracked. But that's kind of how I relate with Lost. And not to say, look, you know, I drug John into it eventually. He got into the show. When it ended, there was an auction of all of the props here in Santa Monica, and we went, and it was a dream. They had set up all these little vignettes. The hatch was there, the van was there, you know, that we could take pictures on. We could sit on the airplane seats and Oceanic Air and take pictures, and all the props were there for us to just look at, and it was a good send off after the show had ended. Yeah, and didn't Damon Lindelof show up? I think he was there. I thought he was there. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, I think we left before he was going to be there.
Oh, okay.
But it was a big deal. I mean, was it the hangar, the Santa Monica hangar?
We were sitting next to Mr. Ernst, the science teacher.
Oh, yeah, that's
you
right.
have some Ernst on you.
Yeah, I got some Ernst on you.
And the young Ben was there. The kid who played young Ben.
Right.
Linus was there. So anyway, but those were the only people we saw that day. But yeah, other people might have shown up later. Anyway, so that's my favorite TV show. That went on way too long. Sorry about that. But I mentioned a bunch of other shows in discussing that, and you can put any of those shows as my other favorites. I mean, I just have it feels like almost since 2004. They say today we're in the golden age of television. I truly believe that, with once AMC came on board with Mad Men and Breaking Bad and Walking Dead, everything has been elevated to new heights, whether it is drama or these sci-fi shows. Orphan Black was great. Fringe was wonderful. Damages I loved. It goes on and on. Then to HBO, Big Little Lies is incredible. So TV is phenomenal now.
Well, and then you combine that with the streaming services, the Netflix shows, and Hulu and Amazon.
Right. Orange is the New Black, Handmaid's Tale. Yeah.
If you can't find something you like nowadays, you're just you may as well just sell your television.
Yeah, it's just rich with characters and great acting and writing. It's amazing. Anyway, the same thing with movies. It's too difficult for me to really choose just one, but this is always my answer, and it's been my answer since I can remember. Oh, John's trying to guess it again. He knows.
Let's see it in the count of three.
I always answer this.
1, 2, 3.
Jaws.
Yep, good. Nailed it.
So again, I wasn't even born when it came out, but I do think that I saw it, I'm sure, way too early. I was probably anywhere between 7 and 9, probably, when I first saw it. And even at that age, it was, I think, it opened my eyes to great filmmaking. I had already seen E.T. at that point, so I knew Spielberg's work, but it was Jaws that I think I understood what it meant to tell a great story about people, as well as keep some mystery and intrigue and suspense to things. And there's nothing that Spielberg does better than that. And you can see that in Jaws, in Close Encounters, in the beginning of E.T. when we don't see E.T. yet. You can see it in Jurassic Park. I am a Spielberg fiend. I don't know how else, fan, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that he can't do, but Jaws will always have a special place to me. And what was great was when I met John, and of course he hadn't seen anything. A few years into our relationship, I finally sat down with him to watch Jaws, and he had never seen it. And it was like watching something. It was like watching it for the first time, because he had no idea, and he was on the edge of his seat, and he was jumping when he was supposed to be jumping, and he was, just a nervous wreck. And it was so great because I had seen it hundreds of times, I'm sure, at that point. So to experience it with someone seeing it for the first time was fantastic. I mean, I guess that's why people have kids, to be able to watch movies for the first time with them. I don't know.
I'm not going to take exception to the inference. It's fine.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch it.
And this just occurred to me. I think this speaks to just the overall breadth of Spielberg, right? Is that both of our favorite movies are Spielberg movies.
Sure.
And you and I are probably, when it comes to TV and film, are opposite ends of every spectrum.
Right.
Right? We're as diverse as it gets when it comes to what entertains us, what we're drawn to, what we like to watch yet. But we're both...
I don't know that we're that far apart. There's nothing that I just mentioned or that you just mentioned that we both aren't fans of.
No, but there are certainly a lot of shows that you will watch weekly.
Sure.
That, you know, if given my choice, I'll leave the room.
Sure. But the good stuff is good.
Well, yes.
And we do like that.
Sure,
yeah.
sure. But
yeah, he does.
Saying that your favorite movie and my favorite movie are both Spielberg movies, different ones.
Right.
I think speaks to the genius of Spielberg.
The beginning, his early stuff was all about, the families, and especially broken families and the people, more than anything. So anywai, so that's kind of my favorite, but you name a movie, I'll probably say I love it, and I've watched it a million times. I usually go a lot with directors. I love M. Night Shyamalan stuff. I know a lot of people don't, but I am so excited for this Unbreakable split trilogy to end. Unbreakable is in the top 10 of my all-time movies.
Yeah, Signs for me.
Yeah, that's right. He loves Signs. Yeah,
it's certainly top 10. It might be number 5 or 6. It's one of the ones I'll watch if it's on too.
Yeah, Kevin Smith, he's at the top for me. I've been a fan since day one, and I'm so excited for this Jay and Silent Bob reboot that's coming out. So I'm excited for that. We were actually on Spoilers. Kevin Smith had a show on Hulu called Spoilers. We went and were in the audience for that one. So I got to meet him. It was awesome. And it was on my birthday. That was awesome.
You didn't just get to meet him.
Yeah, I did.
You got to hug him.
Oh, I also gave him a hug. Yeah. Yes. I don't know that we were supposed to do that, but I couldn't help myself.
He seemed okay with it. Now, if I had tried to hug him, that's
he would have loved that. No big deal. So, you go with any filmmaker, there aren't a lot that I don't love. I love all chick flicks. There's such a great time right now where it does feel like women are making movies. This new Ghostbusters is a favorite of mine. Hey everyone, it's Dhani again. I told you that was a very sharp cut there where we cut it off to end the other session that we were doing. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick housekeeping deal. If you could please subscribe to our podcast on wherever it is that you listen to, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. We're getting a YouTube channel put together. Please do that. You can also rate our podcast. That would help us out a bunch. And pass this along to anyone that you think would be interested. Go to our website and, again, reach out to us on any platform and let us know if you want to be a part of this. I'm working on the technology right now so that we can do these interviews, and hopefully we'll get some guests on here in the next couple weeks. That's it. Just wanted to say thanks again for listening. Until then, I'll be watching my stories. Have a great week.